Hey friends, welcome to Art of Creation Homestead. I'm Angela, and of course we're in the kitchen again today. Usually you're in the kitchen or the garden with me, sometimes the chicken house. But today we are making homemade banana pudding. This one is by request from a sweet lady who asked me on our recent collaboration video where we mentioned banana pudding. She asked if I would do a video on how I make my banana pudding. So this is for you. Okay, before we get started on making the pudding, you want to get half of your layers done, basically. I'll show you why in a minute. And as you can see, I have a good layer of vanilla wafers. You'll probably need a whole box or close to a whole box. You'll need about 5 to 6 bananas. It depends on the size, because as you can see here, I have 2 different sizes. I have these little small ones, and I have these big, ginormous ones. So it's going to depend on the size of your bananas. So we're going to cut up these bananas, and we're going to build a layer of banana on top of the layer of vanilla wafers. You want a nice layer of bananas on top of your wafers. You want a really nice layer, which can take 1 to 1.5 bananas. Now you want to build a second layer of your wafers on top. And you're gonna just keep layering like this. You're gonna do another layer of bananas. You've done a layer of cookies, a layer of bananas, and now you've done another layer of cookies, and you're gonna do another layer of bananas, and then you're gonna go make your pudding. And I'll show you why in a minute, why we're doing this process. So I'll be back when we get started on the pudding. So how we're gonna get started, I don't use a box mix. I don't use a box mix pudding. I make it completely homemade. So here we go. It's way easier than you think. It's way easier than you think. So in this pot we have 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. We use pure cane sugar. We have a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And we have just a pinch of salt. Now, just like I've told you in our pie videos, the chocolate cream pie, butterscotch pie, coconut cream pie, all those recipes, your sugar has an abrasive to break up any lumps in your flour or cornstarch, whichever you're using. With this, we are using flour. So go ahead and take your whisk, give it a good whisk, so that that sugar has a chance to break up all of those lumps and get everything together. See, now you have one lump-free mass. So now, to this beautiful lump-free mass, we are going to add 3 cups of milk. I'm using whole milk. That's my preference. It makes things richer. You can use 2% if that's what you use. I probably wouldn't recommend skim milk. I don't think it would make for good banana pudding. Now you're gonna whisk that in. And now, I know this is gonna be a little different. A lot of people you see temper in their egg yolks later. I go ahead and add them right off the bat. You can add them right now. And you just keep whisking. You just keep whisking and whisking. You do not leave it. And that your eggs will not curdle in it. As long as you keep whisking, as long as you keep moving it, we're going to switch to a silicone spatula. And this will scrape the bottoms, the corners, the sides. This will scrape the whole thing down. And it will keep the eggs from curdling. So it saves time it makes it much easier, and the results come out exactly the same. So I don't temper in my egg yolks. So in this mug, that beautiful orange mass right there, which you can't even see how orange it is on camera, is 4 beautiful egg yolks, fresh from the homestead. And we're going to go ahead and add those in. I did tell you that is 4, right? I start talking sometimes and forget what I've said, what I haven't said. Do you have that problem? Or am I just getting old? Sometimes I wonder, am I just getting old, or does everybody have this problem? So now you want to whisk really good to get those egg yolks mixed in perfect, because that's going to help keep it from the egg yolks coagulating on you and making scrambled eggs in your pudding. Scrambled eggs and banana pudding is not what I would call good banana pudding. So you want to whisk that up really vigorously. Now, we're all mixed in. So now we're going to switch to our silicone spatula. And this is a heavy bottom stainless steel pot. If you do not have a heavy bottom stainless steel pot, you may want to keep your heat on medium low. But because this is heavy bottom, and heavy bottom pots conduct heat better, I can turn mine up on medium. So now we're going to keep this on medium, and you want to keep stirring and keep scraping. Do not walk away from it. Do not leave it. Just keep stirring. I know it sounds daunting, but it's actually not going to take that long. It's actually not going to take that long at all to get this to a beautiful, delicious pudding. So I will be back and show you what it looks like when it's almost there. Okay, it's been about 5 or 6 minutes, and as you can see, when I scrape the bottom, you're starting to get some solids on your spatula. At this point, I switch back to my whisk. But this, you do not want to let it get fully thickened like you do with a pie. You don't want it to get super thick. You want it to still be a little bit more runny. Not fully runny though. This isn't going to get as thick as pudding for a pie, because of the flour instead of the cornstarch. Cornstarch will make it get super thick. Flour more has a tendency to thicken as it gets cold. That's part of the reason that you want to use flour rather than cornstarch for your banana pudding. And you want to keep whisking until you start to get a little thicker, because you don't want to curdle your eggs, so you want to keep it moving until you start to get a little thicker. And as you can see, I'm starting to get some whisk trails in there. So we're almost there. Let me scrape it down, see where we're at. Yeah, we're almost to the point where we need to pull it. Okay, we're to the point where we need to pull it. So now we're gonna pull it. Okay, now you see we're leaving really good whisk trails, where when I move the whisk around, you can still see the motion of the whisk a little bit. Now we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we are going to add 1.5 teaspoons or thereabouts, you guys know I don't measure vanilla, of vanilla extract. Now we're going to whisk that in really good until your butter melts. Now the reason I added the vanilla now instead of when I was cooking it, when you're fixing a pudding or something like this, if you put in your vanilla while it's cooking. When you see all that steam coming up, your vanilla flavor is going to go out in the steam. So you'll get a better vanilla flavor if you put it in now. So, now, remember this beautifulness right here? Remember these beautiful layers right here? Well, now we're going to pour on about half of our warm pudding. And yes, you do want it warm because it's gonna help to start breaking down those cookies. And even the bananas a little too. And that's what's gonna give you your wonderful flavor. So now, we're gonna go back and start layering again. Another layer of cookies. And another layer of bananas. Now, I know I didn't do a layer of pudding between each layer of cookies and bananas. The reason I don't do that is I like a more substantial banana pudding. When you build like half of it and then do pudding, and then you build the other half and then finish off the pudding, I think you get more substantial. I personally like it more substantial, and you get a more substantial pudding that way. So I'm gonna do another layer of bananas and then another layer of cookies, and that should be all we need to do to fill up this dish. This is a 1.5 quart dish. You can do this in a 13 by 9 if you want to see layers, thin layers. But I'll tell you, I'm just gonna be honest with you, that's more city banana pudding. But whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat, go ahead and do that. I like it thick like this because, to me, you get better coverage of bananas and pudding and cookies. You get better layers. So now we're gonna put on our final layer of cookies. And you wanna make sure that this layer is a good substantial layer, because this is gonna be your top layer. So you wanna make sure you kind of mash down a little bit, get them all in place, fill in any gaps. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. It's not gonna hurt a thing. This isn't rocket science. This is making banana pudding. Okay, now we've got a good layer. Now we're gonna take the rest of our beautiful pudding and we're gonna pour it over top. Now, depending on your dish and how big your bananas were and all of that, it may or may not take all of your pudding. If it don't, then the cook's got a little treat that you can eat. And I promise you, it will be delicious. And what I like to do at this point, to get it to soak down a little better, I take my knife and I wiggle it down in there, in between the layers, to get it to just go down, seep down into those layers. You'll get it to seep down real nice into those layers, this way. I run it around the edge, and you'll see it sink when you do this. You'll see it start to sink into your layers. And that's when it makes it the best. When it's nice and moist and juicy like this. You guys gotta know, I love me some banana pudding. It's one of my favorites. Okay, now you'll see from here if you need to add the rest, that little couple of spoonfuls. And I don't think we're gonna need it. It looks plenty substantial right there. So what we're gonna do is we're going to cover this with plastic wrap, push it right down onto the top of your pudding so that you don't get a skin on top of your pudding. And we're gonna put this in the refrigerator to chill. Now, if you want meringue on it at this point, You will go ahead and make your meringue, put it on top, put it under the broiler before you chill it. But I'll show you how I'm gonna top this when we come back. Okay, our banana pudding is nice and chilled now and set up beautifully.
Looks pretty.
So now, the way I like to top banana pudding, I love to top it with fresh sweetened whipped cream. To me, there's nothing better. It just pairs so well with it. And I just put a nice big mound. If you don't know how to make fresh sweetened whipped cream, refer to our video on making homemade strawberry shortcake. You will see a good tutorial there.
You also see some good strawberry shortcakes.
Yeah, that's true too.
Hey, another good summertime dessert, by the way. Another spring and summer dessert.
This right here will be an idea dessert for 4th of July. I mean, who wouldn't like this at their 4th of July picnic?
It's a good summer dessert. The strawberry shortcake's a good summer dessert.
Okay, and just to give people a little sneak peek of the deliciousness that is waiting, I took the last few little vanilla wafers and crushed them up just a little bit. And I'm going to sprinkle those on top. And that'll give people a little sneak peek of the deliciousness that is about to come upon them.
Alright, so this is probably like the most exciting taste test ever. It's banana pudding. And for a fellow out of the Blue Ridge Mountains, you ain't gonna find a more exciting thing to eat than banana pudding. So, here we go. Angela K makes the best banana pudding ever. You don't understand. It's just wonderful. And today everything's been fantastic. So this is fantastic. This is awesome. I love me some banana pudding. So y'all, if you're looking for a good banana pudding recipe, this is it right here. Alright. It's wonderful, fabulous, fantastic. Whatever you want to do. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, all that. I've said subscribe 3 times. Hey, subscribe. And we do appreciate you guys watching. Alright, my name is Jason. The brilliant banana pudding maker is Angela K. It's our Christian Homestead. We love you guys. God bless you and goodbye.